eyes opened. Or rather, that wasn't quite the right way to put it. It was more like the world simply came back into view all at once. An alley, worn walls, power lines, the faint glow of a street lamp pressing through the gaps between them. It was the middle of the night. Quiet. Too quiet. The figure slowly pushed itself upright. Right beside it stood a blue street sign, Soso Mountain Road. That name right there. The figure stared at it for a long moment. And then the memories came flooding back. The sky, buildings shrinking below, alleyways thinning to threads, and beyond all of it, those colors, wrapped around everything, impossible to name. And then the fall. How long had it been? The figure didn't know. Only that it was night. Only that something felt heavy and settled inside it, like weight that hadn't yet lifted. And then,
"You're up?"
the figure turned. The calico cat was there, perched on the wall directly across from the sign, watching. But something was different from before. Its ears were pricked straight up. Its tail had puffed out. Its eyes were bright and wide.
"Are you okay? That was such a cool fall."
The figure looked at the cat. Cool. It had said cool. There were no words for a moment, but only for a moment. Yeah, I think I'm okay. And it was true. Things were slowly coming back. The fog in its head was beginning to clear. The heaviness from the fall was fading, little by little. The cat made no effort to hide its excitement.
"So what did you see up there? Tell me."
The figure gathered its thoughts, then slowly began to speak. I went up high, fast at first, but at some point my body started getting heavier. Then the nausea came.
And then?
I could see Soso Mountain Road. From above, it looked round. The whole neighborhood, held inside one boundary, clear and sharp. But beyond that, it was different. Not smoke, not darkness, something I don't have words for. Colors, all tangled together, wrapped around everything from every direction. The figure paused, then continued. This wasn't the first time I'd seen it. When I was wandering alone, I walked to the end of an alley once. Something stopped me. That same color. I couldn't go any further. From up high, I finally saw what it was. It wasn't just at the end of one alley. It was everywhere, surrounding the whole neighborhood. The cat flicked its tail once from its perch on the wall.
"Yeah, I already knew about that."
It looked like it was about to say more, then lifted a paw and scratched behind its ear, as if it were nothing.
"Hey."
"Yeah? I know about that color."
The figure looked at the cat.
It was a few years ago, one of those nights when the sky just felt wrong. Something small, but incredibly bright, was circling the neighborhood, a pale blue light.
The cat's eyes widened slightly.
And it was just so strange. It didn't fall. It didn't pass through. It just went round and round and round, like it was looking for something. And then it disappeared somewhere.
It disappeared?
Yeah, and it wasn't just the one time. Something similar happened again after that, and again. The color of the light was different each time, but the behavior was the same. Circling, and then whoosh, gone.
The cat stretched its front paws out long on the wall. Then, as if suddenly remembering something, went on.
"And I'm not so different from you, you know."
"What do you mean?"
Something happened to me too. Something orange came out of nowhere and hit me, no warning at all. And after that, things changed.
Changed how? I can see it. Feelings. When someone feels something strongly, it becomes light, and the colors are all different. Happy feelings have one color, sad feelings another, frightened feelings another.
The cat's voice went quieter, more serious.
But at some point, I started noticing the darker lights getting heavier in this neighborhood. I didn't like that. So I did something about it. If a kid was about to get hit by a bus, I ran into the road. If a thief was getting away, I jumped at his face and scratched him.
The cat looked down at its own front paw.
I just did what I could, added quietly.
That thief got a proper lesson from me, I'll tell you that.
The figure looked at the cat. That small life had been doing all of this. It couldn't find words for it.
And then
The cat went on.
I saw you in front of that sign.
Its gaze moved to the street sign.
there was a pale blue light coming from there. I went to look, and you were lying there, not moving, for a long time.
How long? The cat glanced upward for a moment, as if thinking.
One unbearably hot summer came and went, and now the wind has turned cool again.
The figure turned that over in its mind. If it had started in spring, and summer had come and gone, then another spring would make 1 year. And if the wind had already turned cool again, that was a few more months on top of that. So, about 1.5 years. It held that number quietly inside itself and said nothing. The cat looked at the figure for a moment, then glanced away, at nothing in particular.
You were there the whole time, and then one day you were just gone. I looked for you and found you at that intersection we first met at. You were there yelling at the scooter guy and the kid.
The cat's tail swayed gently at the end of the wall.
I don't know what happened in your past, but I know there's something we're supposed to do. I can feel it.
Feel it?
Yeah, this neighborhood can't be swallowed up by dark light. That much I'm sure of.
The figure thought. Its head was spinning. It didn't know who it was. It couldn't remember the summer, or the cool wind, or any of the time in between. It didn't know what was happening in this city, or what it was supposed to do next. Then the cat spoke.
By the way,
Yeah?
do you remember your name?
The figure shook its head. The cat studied it for a moment, then asked,
Do you know mine?
No.
Me neither.
Short, simple. Then the cat suddenly lifted a paw.
Then let's make some.
Make them?
Before we find our real ones. Names we can call each other for now.
The figure looked at the cat. The cat looked up at the sign with an unexpectedly serious expression.
You're blue.
Blue?
I first found you in front of that blue sign. and you give off this pale blue light. Blue. It fits.
Blue. A brand new name. Strange on the tongue, but not wrong. Then you're... Blue looked at the cat. Patch? The cat looked down at its own fur. Orange, black, white. It looked back up and gave a small, dry smile.
Simple.
I called it as I saw it. Fair enough. Patch dropped down from the wall, landed on all fours on the alley floor, and looked up at Blue. We're friends now, Patch said it, then lifted its tail high. A low rumble came from somewhere deep in its chest. Small and warm, it spread through the alley. Blue stood still for a moment, then gave a small nod. Friends. In this alley. In this world where no one could see it. A first friend. Then Patch's ears pricked up. Patch turned its head toward the far end of the alley. Its eyes narrowed. Something's coming. Something? There's someone who needs help. Come on. Patch took off before the words were even finished, fast and certain, without looking back. Blue stood for a moment longer. There was still so much it didn't know, but Patch's back was there, already moving away. For the first time, there was somewhere to follow. Let's go. Blue ran. End of episode 3.